Part of class participation is how are you adding to the discussion to continue to move it along. And another thing is there's often, almost every school I know, there's some sort of academic support center. They generally have tutors by particular subjects or disciplines, and they can set you up with a tutor. Everyone doesn't know everything. First of all, sometimes the students who are speaking the most definitely don't know the most, and the teachers know that too. You don't have to be the one who's sort of taking up lots of airtime in class. You have to be participating enough that a teacher can know you're engaged and that there's some evidence that you are understanding the content of the class, that you've done the reading, right, that you've done the work that they've asked before you come to class. And so part of class participation is how are you adding to the discussion to continue to move it along, and how are you showing some knowledge of and engagement with the content in the class. So it doesn't mean you have to be always thinking of something to say just to participate, but also know that most students and adults feel nervous when they add something to a conversation. They question what they're adding, and it's okay. Something is better than nothing. That's how you'll learn. A teacher is never going to make you feel bad for speaking up in class. And if you've done the work, chances are you know at least as much as your peers around you who are contributing to. But class participation is part of grades at boarding school, so it is important. So I had one student who came to the school I worked at as an 11th grader. Came from school in another country, and it just all felt overwhelming to him. He was also a very, very, very reserved person by nature. So if he could have never spoken in class, that probably would have been something he would have preferred. So sometimes what we did was when we met, he would tell me some of the reading he had done for a particular class or some content he had done for class and almost use me, if that makes sense, as his sort of pretend teacher for that. Sort of, what would you want to ask me? Let's talk about it. And that felt like a really low stakes way for him to talk about some of what he was learning and what he maybe would say in class in a discussion, and for me to let him know, these are really great questions. And this is part of a discussion that you could contribute to. So if there's another adult or someone in your class or an older student in your dorm you like, it's okay to sort of have these discussions with them to prep yourself for speaking in class. If it also would help to meet with the teacher in office hours or some other time, sometimes that humanizes the teacher a little bit, if that makes sense, and that you can sit and chat about what you're reading in class or a particular assignment for even 5 or 10 minutes. And then you remember this teacher is a human being. They love this content. They want me to learn. They want me involved. And that might just sort of help to have those few minutes away from the class to know sort of you're on the right track, so to speak, and that you feel more comfortable with the teacher. There's a couple of things. Depending on the particular way that your school functions, you could go to your teacher first or your advisor. And another thing is there's often, almost every school I know, there's some sort of academic support center where they're thrilled to have students come and see them, especially if you're just starting to get to a place where things are difficult, but you're not in panic mode yet, so to speak. So to go to the academic support center and say, here's the class I'm struggling with, and they generally have tutors by particular subjects or disciplines, and they can set you up with a tutor. A lot of schools often have peer tutors in different subjects during study halls. My school did that, so if you needed help in a particular area during study hall, you could sign up to go meet with that peer tutor. But I certainly had advisees come see me when they were struggling in class, and sometimes they would see me when they'd already spoken with the teacher, and they wanted to meet with me to sort of clarify that they were understanding the message they were getting from the teacher, and that and what their role was in helping things to get better. Sometimes we would meet with the teacher together, and sometimes I would meet with my advisee and then speak to the teacher. When in doubt, I can go to your advisor first. If it's a teacher you feel comfortable with, go right to the teacher. But teachers in boarding school are more flexible than people might realize as a whole. So for instance, if you have 3 big assessments or assignments due in 1 week and you just know you're not going to be able to perform well on all of those, if you know in advance and you see what your syllabus looks like in each class, you can certainly go to a teacher and say, this is what this week looks like for me 2 weeks from now. Would it be okay if I did this writing assignment by Wednesday of the next week? 90% of the time I had teachers say yes to those requests. Because what they see is a student trying to sort out their work and manage it in a reasonable way so that they can give their best effort to all of it. That's what they want to see. It's not so much that exact deadline as it is their engagement with their learning and the content. Thank you.